Hi guys, it's Cindy from Part-Time Permies, and today I wanted to give you a little garden update. The first things that went into our beds were brassicas and greens, and we did that a little while ago. So if you've been following us on Instagram, you've probably seen some pictures of those beds, but I'll give you a little rundown on how they're doing. On this bed, we have a combination of brassicas. In the middle, we have some peas. So over here, these are broccoli raabs. They actually are ready to be harvested. So we put these in, I guess, a few weeks ago now. Now, somehow, I think I probably ended up with more broccoli raab back here. They were supposed to be a Napa cabbage, but I don't know if I just mixed up the bags, messed up my labels, planted the wrong thing. Anyway, we have lots of broccoli raab, I believe. My trellis is just made of tomato sticks and a scrap piece of fence. Over here, we have a couple of broccoli plants and a wild spinach wanting to grow with the broccoli. We do have Brussels sprouts here. We have kohlrabi right through here. We have a couple types of cabbage. This one obviously has been eaten quite a bit, so that's the worst looking as far as it might bounce back, but we'll see. Some of these others are just starting to be eaten, so I'm gonna have to get out here in the morning and check to see what kind of bugs we have, because there's not as much damage, but there's definitely some more on some plants like this one than others. Shelling peas here. These are Johnny shelling peas. Not quite as big, and actually, if you look, we're getting our first pods growing on the plants. Those just started flowering in the last week, so they're pretty fast growth. More cabbage here. Okay, so the two types of cabbage we have. This is a Danish, and of course I can't read my own handwriting, but a Danish cabbage. And at this end we have, this is a Savoy cabbage. Now of course these plants right here are self-planted. I'm gonna leave them be because those are wild spinach. We can harvest them when they're a little bigger or as a microgreen, basically as is. And those are edible, so I'll leave those alone. But behind it is the Savoy. The other bed that we have is full of wild spinach, which we need to pull again, but it's a little hard to pull from around small plants. So I've been holding back until these guys got a little bigger, but we'll pull some more out. So these guys are Rouge d'Hiver lettuce, so red leaf lettuce. We have over here Paris Cos. So that's an M.I. Gardner plant. Doing very well. That I started indoors. These I started from seed, so that's why they're off. These started from seeds when I transplanted those. So basically every other thing here started from seed. This next group is arugula, which we should be harvesting. These started from seed, but with the heat they grew quite a bit. These were transplants, and these are a bronze lettuce. So there's just a little bit of color on them, but you can see that in there. So nice. We have a red romaine that we started from seed, and a green romaine that we started inside, so a whole variety. And some more peas back here. Over here, I used to have two broccoli plants. I really need to weed this bed out. Obviously, there's a lot of weeds in here, but again, some of them are edible, so I might take them out as microgreens. But this is a broccoli plant. It has been slightly eaten, not too bad. I used to have another one right there, but I had a chicken get out when they were preparing my main part of the garden, and I think my chicken ate it. That was Houdini, of course. Back here is mainly weeds. So I had put some upland cress in here a few weeks ago, and I think it just got too hot too fast for it. So nothing happened except an explosion of weed growth. I had put a few more of the Swiss chard in here, but it's not doing great either. Only 2 of them survived. So we might have to do another round of that. Again, this is all weeds instead of sorrel. This was supposed to be a domestic sorrel, but I don't see anything. And again, on this back side, I did plant a few of these strawberry spinach plants, which I never planted before. Kind of interesting. But only one of them made it through the heat, so a little bit low on the success rate back on this back end of this bed. And one thing I'm keeping are these. These are wild. They're sorrel. And I am keeping these because they taste great. But this is actually probably about, I don't know, 5 times the sizes you would find in my yard because it's so fertile in this bed. Behind it, this is an interesting plant that I tried for the first year. It's minutia. So it is a form of greens. It's kind of, it almost looks like seaweed in a way. But we're gonna try it out and see how it tastes. For those of you guys who've been following for a while, about just under a year ago, I planted all these. These are, of course, strawberry plants, but these are not cultivated. These were transplanted wild strawberries, and you can see they've already flowered. The flowers, over the last week, the petals have dropped off, and you can see the strawberries starting. Actually, quite the number of strawberries in here, and getting to be a lot bigger than they were when they were wild. So I like wild strawberries better than cultivated ones in general. They're a lot sweeter. It's hard to find the wild ones because all the animals like to get to them first. I don't think you're an animal who likes wild strawberries though. Okay, over here we direct seeded, because we ran out of time inside, but we direct seeded some cucumbers. So I have some cucumbers along this side. We are going to put the hoops up without anything but maybe some extra fencing or chicken wire on it, so that basically my goal is to have the hoops go from one side to the other, put wire over that, and then the cucumbers can climb up the hoops from both sides. And then when it gets hot, I might still be able to plant greens in the shaded area underneath. So it's the goal, but we just seeded these, so we're not in a rush to put the hoops in here. And we have had a few of these guys around too. Not too worried about them in here. They might eat some leaves, but they usually like tree leaves better, especially fruit trees. But so I don't think it'll survive in here. Meow. We have some beans that are growing, and in here we have some squash. Meow. I gotta get my labels on here. I put it on a piece of paper, but we gotta label these. I forget what they are offhand. So we have a ton of beds. All the way down here are a variety of tomatoes and peppers and beans that we're planting in groups, as well as a couple of the beds over here. Tomatoes, peppers, and beans, basically. The beans we went from seed, but you can see them starting underneath Helix's body. In the back here we have some potatoes that Charlie and I planted, so you can check out that video, planting with the 3-year-old. Back here we have a combination of celeriac and celery. So they look very similar. We did lose some of them to the heat, so we had more down that direction that I don't see. They burnt out. But then we have basically all up and down this fence line. We also planted a combination of herb seeds and flowers along the fence line. And that would be both to repel the pests and attract the beneficial insects. So we'll see how well they do direct seeded. This bed, I'm gonna adjust the layout of it. This is where our hoop was before. We're gonna have a small patch here, probably some root vegetables, maybe beets. Those are flowering arugula, so I'll probably let those go to seed and reseed themselves and grow up again. I did take some extra broccoli plants over here and plant them, and that is a cauliflower plant. I have some of those in the other area as well, but I planted more than one here and only one survived. We might have to do a second planting on those. We do have more potatoes growing up along the back wall here, including into my garlic patch, because obviously I didn't mark the end of one patch and the start of another. I knew about where one ended and the other started, but it was a little off, but that's okay. So garlic going to the edge, the corner. This is the bib lettuce. It survived the whole winter and is now going nuts. Only a few of the romaine survived. We pulled a few out for harvest, left some to continue to grow. And these we're letting go to seed. These are our mustard greens that came over the winter. We had, I think, 2 harvests of those over the winter. And our Asian greens here, bok choy and other Asian greens, again, they were in a hoop all winter here. So we're letting them go to seed and let them reseed themselves and plant more. Plus they attract, you know, the beneficial insects, being the only thing in flower in this whole garden at the moment. And here, which actually you can see starting to come up already from seed, are some cantaloupe melons along with some volunteers of various sorts. And here we have yellow canary melons. So I don't know if we've tried those before, but we have a few coming up there. And we have a top crop bean that's actually starting to come up here. And golden beauty melons at this end. So we have lots of melons coming up. You can see those newly started seedlings, the beans, the melons. So a good combination. We're putting beans everywhere to just help the nitrogen in the soil. We did have another one, a banana melon. Not quite seeing that one sprout yet. It was just planted last week again, so we'll see what it does. So we're doing a huge amount of beans in this whole place because we're still trying to build up a lot of the nitrogen in the soil. And if we get a lot to eat, great. Over here we have pumpkins and more Hank Spanking beans. Hank Spanking beans, by the way, are a heirloom variety from New York that we brought. They are a special variety, and we have a whole lot of them that we saved some from seed last year. So I'm thinking we're actually going to bring some to Hootenanny this year as some of our seed exchange seeds. So those have already started coming up, as you can see, starting to get true leaves at that. We also have pumpkins. So these are actually a blue pumpkin, so they should be interesting to see what comes up. Next door to that, we have a small bed of sweet corn that's coming up, right, you can see, just starting to poke through in here. And on this side, I still need to put, I was going to put some peas over here. You want this corn to be, 4 to 6 inches tall before you put anything that'll climb it around it. We also have some summer squash that's starting in the corners of this bed. And on the other side, this is like a little upside down U, the little path down the middle so we can reach in. Some zucchini squash on this side, and as well as corn. We've never had corn do very well. It's not extremely fertile soil for that. It's very sandy, but we've been building the soil for a couple years, so we'll keep trying, but that's why I'm doing a small bed. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, if you do have trouble getting sweet corn to the point of good fertilization and just a good ear of corn, one thing Mike and I talked about doing, if it doesn't work this year, is just growing it to eat the stalk, because you can actually peel and eat the stalk, and it's really tasty, and you can eat that before the corn's ready. So we might pull a couple during the summer. We'll have to see how it goes growth wise this year, but and just show you what to do with corn stalks. Okay, this northern bed, I'll show you here. We did plant some a variety of flowers along the edges on a lot of these, but I put some sunflowers on this north edge here. We put these. I wasn't sure if these would do very well. They weren't doing very well in my soil blocks, but the hot wax peppers are hanging in there. They probably like this heat. So we had 2 plants. We put them in here. We do have some more hot peppers, a whole variety of hot peppers at this north area, all scattered through here. Our ground cherries, they got quite eaten up in the soil blocks, but believe it or not, this actually looks better than when they were in the soil blocks because they were all crowded together. And we had these little beetle-like bugs that lay orange eggs on these plants that you could sometimes see when you turn the leaves upside down, which I don't really see many. So maybe, just maybe, separating the plants out was a good idea. And it's good just not to have a monoculture, because then as one set of bugs die off, it's not going straight to the next plant. So I'm hoping we might save some of them, but we'll see how they go. I've never done ground cherries before, so this is the first time, and so far they've been quite beat up, so I'm not sure if we'll do them again, but we'll see how they do. So eggplant, ground cherries, hot peppers. I think we put some beans, some carrot seeds, so we'll see how they start. Of course, they take a long time to germinate, so I don't see any yet. Sunflowers along the north end. I see a few sprouts. We may have had some birds come in here and eat others. So we might have to do a second try on sunflowers, but we'll see what starts in the next week. We did plant our asparagus here, so you can actually see them. Now this soil is actually really loose soil, so this is super easy just to pull them, but I do have a tool for this that I'll go over too. I did briefly mention in one of my other videos, but I'll go and give you a better review once I've used it more. So you could just take them, pull them, drop them. And that pretty much mulches this whole area, which we've been starting to do over here. And the goal is to drop the weeds and not the asparagus. We got a couple rhubarb plants, and we put those in here. Now these now look like somebody's eating the leaves. Again, the best time to look for bugs is first thing in the morning, so I'll have to check that. And this one was doing better than the other one. However, now it's looking a little sad. Had bigger leaves before. We've had a lot of rain and a lot of hot weather, so maybe having trouble with that. And rhubarb likes a little cooler weather, so we'll see how it does. Over here, this plant I think is still surviving. Now this is a wild blueberry. It looks like it's still alive, although my cultivated blueberries already have full leaves on them. Although they're not doing great either, but that was because of last year's drought. These are wild blueberries taken from a forest. Helix, you're not supposed to just use me as a jungle gym. Helix. Apparently somebody wants a lot of attention. Are you missing your puppy? Mr. Helix used to hang out with the puppy. He doesn't have the best balance being a cat. For a cat. He is one of the klutziest cats I've ever known. So if I move, his claws go in. Okay, Helix, come on now. Come on. Thank you. So I do think this plant actually might be surviving. The others, I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I see some leaf buds, but it looks almost like it's arrested in this stage. It looks like a little bit of new growth. Now, who knows? Maybe, here's another one. Maybe they'll bounce back once their roots take hold, but I'm not sure what our percentage rate will be here. And last but not least, I'll go show you the hugelkultur bed. We don't have a whole lot on this end growing, but our thyme is actually doing great. That's the lemon thyme. And here's the common thyme. Our lavender has just gone to flower. Little lavender plant. These, I didn't really mean to grow potatoes here again, but apparently I left a few potatoes in the ground last year. We have a little spearmint spreading up here, probably through root systems. That's fine, it helps keep some of the pests away, along with some lavender, which is starting to go to flower there. Smaller plant. This is all garlic. Some of it is from bulb, and some of it is from the little, apparently I learned they weren't seeds, but little balls at the top where the flower was. Not actually the seeds, but I planted those. They take a few years to actually mature. So some of these plants might get a nice big bulb because we planted the bulbs, you know, the cloves last time, replanted a few cloves. But some of these might actually take a year or two to mature, so that's fine. We'll just have a continual growth of garlic at this end of the bed. So there's some spearmint along with some lavender, and you can see the spearmint, it started over here, but it is spreading around a little bit. So that's fine, that's what mint does. And I don't mind having it on the edge of the garden like this, spreading. So this is absolutely fine. We'll try to keep it off the other side of this bed as much as we can. Plant some other things on the other side just so it won't get into the main garden. I believe that is a mustard green because we had mustard greens here that went to seed and we let the seeds drop. Actually helped them drop. We'll see if we get any more mustard greens popping up. So we definitely have a lot more room in the hugelkultur bed to put some other things. We'll see what else we have seeds for to stick in there. I might put some more beans to help with the nitrogen in that. That is the second year we're planting that hugelkultur bed. So it has settled a little bit. It's shrunken a little bit. I added the leaves for mulch over top. That is the garden tour. So hope you enjoyed the show. And please, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment. We are almost at 1,000 subscribers, which is awesome. Thank you guys. And by the time this video goes up, we might be at 1,000. Keep your eye out because we will be doing a video for a giveaway coming up soon as we hit that 1,000 mark. So we'll see you with our next video. Maybe it'll be our giveaway video. See you next time. Bye.